Previously on XMen.
So, previously we talked about XMen 97 and Bo DeMaio saying that basically he wouldn't hire anybody that was not a fan. And we thought to ourselves, well, this gay man is all right by me. Well, unfortunately, although I can't say for certain that anything he did was particularly egregious, it seems that they are planning to portray Morph, this guy, as non-binary for some reason. So, in the first confirmed change being made to the fan favorite incarnation of Marvel's Merry Band of Mutants, X-Men 97 showrunner Bo DeMaio has revealed that unlike the original series, the upcoming revival will portray the mutant shapeshifter Morph as a non-binary individual. He's literally the character that everybody thinks back at the cartoon, like, who? Like, what guy? Who is this? Was he in the original? Like,
no, he had a huge part in the first season, and in later seasons, like Wolverine's chasing him around the whole season, going Morph. People remember him.
I don't remember him. I do remember watching. I think it was on Netflix or something for a while. X-Men was the cartoon. Yep. And I do remember watching it and being like, who the fuck is this guy when he came on screen? So the change was first confirmed by DeMaio during a series-centric interview given to Empire Magazine for their April 2024 issue. So this is the excerpt from this magazine. This is Morph, right? Like, I know he looks like that, but his non-binary form went the Michael Jackson route.
Yeah, which I would point to all non-binaries. Like, well, you have to look like that if you're going to be non-binary. Just shave your head, like.
So in the comics, he was originally introduced as more of a villain type, and he kind of looked more like that. Mm-hmm. They call it his changeling look.
I mean, that's a good way to describe it. We've also got like asymmetrical Majin Black Jita over here. Who's that? Bishop? That's Bishop?
Yeah, that's Bishop.
What the fuck?
It looks like Bishop. He got a haircut.
Okay. All right. Anyway, let's read about Morph. So it says here, quote, well, I guess not quote here. The death of shapeshifter Morph in the original animated series, it didn't stick, obviously, was shocking for young viewers, and it stuck with DeMaio. Quote, he really set the stakes, DeMaio says. Quote, and he had a very interesting relationship with the team because of trauma. This is a lighter take on the character, who is non-binary, and has an interesting relationship with Wolverine. Interesting buddy relationship with Wolverine. The character's past with Mr. Sinister, the show's villain, could also come into play. Now,
so they just said he twice in that description.
Uh-huh. And here's something interesting here. Where Empire Magazine is quoting DeMaio is right here. Quote, he really set the stakes, and he had a very interesting relationship with the team because of trauma. End quote. Then Empire goes on to say this is a lighter take on the character who is non-binary. That's not quoted. So make of that what you will. And of course, throughout his adventures, both in print and animated, Morph has never been portrayed as considering himself non-binary. While his ability does allow him to shift into any form, including that of a woman, at the biological level, he always defaulted to a standard appearance as a relatively nondescript human male. Alas, while this ham-fisted change is certainly disappointing, it cannot be said that it is wholly unexpected. After all, as stated by DeMaio during a 2023 Marvel livestream event regarding the series, one of his goals with X-Men 97 was, quote, to just get this right and really drill down to what I think the X-Men's always going to be about, which is just, we talk a lot about the dream is social acceptance and it's social justice.
Yeah, but back then there was such a thing as subtlety and nuance and not beating you over the head with.
Yeah.
The original show dealt with like general ideas of bigotry that could be applied to multiple different real life situations. And sure, there were some stories that definitely were heavily inspired by real life happenings, like the AIDS crisis and stuff like that with the virus, the mecha virus or whatever that apocalypse was going to do. But generally, they made it so that more than just a very specific group could identify with what was going on in the story. Whereas modern writers are like, no, it has to be that specific group. No one else can identify with this, and it alienates everyone that isn't that specific group. I don't know what they don't get about that.
Remember last podcast when I talked about the weird fetishes people have? And I was saying how, like, people who grew up to have weird fetishes, they grew up watching stuff that the rest of us without weird fetishes also watch, right? And so the example I gave last time was, if you put JT in the driver's seat for Miraculous Ladybug, do you really think somebody like that would canonically decide to make the romantic relationship that I mean, if you're picking up where they left off, of Marinette and Adrian, include his poop desperation fetish, right? Like, I mean, if you create the original show, and the original show, as you said, has, you know, let's say the bigotry that could be applied to anything, like it's very nondescript, general ideas that can be applied to anything. Then people who identified with that then decide to pick up the torch where they left off, but then make it much more banging you over the head, right? Kind of thing. Also, I can't help but notice that there's CG in this, and also just like fucking awful 2D panning and stuff. Like, it just looks bad. Also, let's not freaking forget about the Comic Sans picket sign here that's like barely even pinned to the actual sign.
All of their eyeballs, because they haven't varied the line width on anything, look like black blobs.
Yeah, no, it looks fucking terrible. Very disappointing. Also, this guy's clearly in the show's MAGA hat. No. All right. So anyway,
quick question regarding the non-binary dude. Like, how would you? That got me to thinking. How would you, like, say you were doing a police report and you were trying to report somebody, and that police officer was asking you to describe, like, it's a victim of a robbery or something. Okay, describe the person. Are they, you know, man or woman? And then the person's like, oh, they were non-binary. It's like,
people do that nowadays.
Mm-hmm. I won't
with race?
Gender. Yeah.
No, they do it with race as well. They won't describe the race. They'll just say, oh, he was wearing dark clothes or something like that. And then it's like, I don't have any other details. It's like, yeah, you probably do.
You say this Caucasian dude fucking robbed me. White dude robbed me. Or black dude robbed me. It's like, how do you... How would you not describe that? So you're trying to describe this non-binary guy or chick, and it's just like...
Basically, they don't want to sound stereotypical to like racial traits or whatever. Like, oh, this race is going to commit this crime or whatever.
Like, are they going to make Morph the main character now too? Is that what we're doing? Lady Phoenix says, I did not like Morph in the original show. Lady Phoenix celebrated when he died.
So he died in the first episode, right? And then was brought back. And for the problem with his character that I had personally with was he was set up as Wolverine's friend in the first episode. And Wolverine really took it to heart that, like, he died in that first episode. And so as a kid, when I was watching it, I was like, oh shit, like Morph died. Fuck, I wish, because I liked Wolverine, obviously. So it's like, I wish Wolverine didn't have that loss in his world, right? And then he gets reintroduced in like season 3 or 4 or something like that. And he comes back as like a puppet of Sinister. And so for the rest of the series, up until like the last episode, I think, or like a couple last episodes, he's a puppet of Sinister, and he's like got these like dark eye, like if you scroll down you can see his evil form.
Oh,
No,
you
no.
mean this one?
Yeah, that one.
The one that Brainiac is controlling.
Yeah, not Brainiac, but Sinister. And because he's controlled by Sinister, he's doing things against the interests of the X-Men and against Wolverine. And you're like, oh, that's so like you feel bad for Wolverine that his friend is like betraying him, but he can't help it because Sinister's like mind screwing him or whatever, right? So
interesting phrasing.
that's why I didn't like the character past season 1. I really liked the character in season 1. I just wish he didn't die. I wish he stayed around. And then when they brought him back, he was like this mind slave.
So in the trailer, they also like step into the school and they're like, wait a minute, Magneto owns the school now. Whoa! And it's very it just seems so ridiculous in the trailer. Okay, so moving on from here. According to Data Racer, lead writer and producer of the X-Men reboot on Disney Plus is having a meltdown about Kyle Rittenhouse. By the way, I just want to point out this is from 2021, right? So around that time. Calls him a racist white supremacist and thinks all 20-year-old white males are potential mass shooters. So just giving you a general idea of this person's NPC status. The cynical inevitability of the Rittenhouse verdict doesn't take out the pain of what this status quo racist bullshit represents, the terror it instills, and the lethality it codifies. Kyle Rittenhouse is a fucking murderer. Fuck white supremacy. So then again, just as a clarification, that's who this is. I can finally share, but will truly never believe that I am a writer and supervising producer for the new X-Men animated series, X-Men 97. Strap in, bub. You're in for a hell of a ride. So continuing here, in 2021, X-Men was my favorite cartoon as a kid. In 2020, X-Men wasn't in my top 4. So this is them in 2021 saying, X-Men, the animated series, was my Saturday. I was not a kid who woke up early, but this show shot me out of bed to see what happened after the to be continued. So I could swoon over Rogue.
Not anymore.
This lady wanted to swoon over Rogue and marvel at the storytelling. I still believe it is the definitive X-Men adaptation. To be a part of this animated legacy is humbling and also terrifying. But with this team of brilliant talent led by our dear Professor Bo DeMaio,
that was the guy who gave the interview to Empire.
Yeah. The Simpsons, Batman, the animated series, Gargoyles, Animaniacs. I can't do only 3. It hurts too much. Honorable mentions. X-Men. Oh, that's what they mean by it's not even in their top 4. X-Men, Tiny Toons, Rocco, Hey Arnold, Freakazoid, All Real Monsters, South Park. Yeah, not even in the top 4. So Data Racer also says that they wanted this Charlie Feldman wants to see less white cis hetero males making cartoons and would race swap Batman. Right. Again, this post is from November 19th, 2021. Right. So I'm a staffed writer in animation. While I'm not currently in a hiring position, I soon will be. And many who follow me already are. If you post below, I will retweet black folks looking for work. I love how this is from June. So this isn't even Black History Month, but we're covering it during Black History Month. So we have corrected her crimes. I will retweet black folks looking for work who are or who want to break in. Why would you say that about black people breaking in? I think she means into the industry. I propose to make this a more regular post going forward. My DMs are open, blah, blah, blah. If you're black, blah, blah, blah. I also want to start to make available if that's something anyone who isn't white, hetero, cis is interested in, right? So as soon as I said you would have to rewrite Batman to be black, I started thinking about how I would do that. Here's what I have. Green light signal. And then we got one more here. Non-binary X them called it 3 years ago when the producer and lead writer for X-Men 97 was out. So they're just covering the fact that in 2021 they pointed this stuff out, right? And Morph's characterization in X-Men 97. This is a lighter take on the character, non-binary, blah, blah, blah. The character's past with Mr. Sinister shows.
That's just the Empire.
It's non-binary.
Although they quoted it.
Yeah,
they
quoting
quoted the whole thing.
They must just be quoting the article.
Yeah.
Who is non-binary has an interesting buddy.
There should be inner quotation
quotes,
marks
yeah.
that they've left out of that.
So we're still lost, obviously. Now I love some of these. They're like X-men and X-women become X they them, right?
There was serious debate on the movie.
Oh yeah. Oh,
that they were potentially gonna. I forget what they were gonna call it. It wasn't gonna be the X-Men though.
X people. X
force. No. It's
the
just
mutants.
No,
it was
it's
gonna be
Zem, XEM.
Oh yeah, X then. Yeah, no, I think they were gonna go with calling the movie The Mutants because that was a better, more inclusive term.
So, regarding the concept of non-binary and all that stuff, this person, which I mean, this is an obvious take, but I just like the way that they phrased it. I always find when this information is pushed out first, rather than telling us why the story and characters will be great, we end up with shit writing. Meaning, when the press release that comes out first is diverse cast and shit like that, it's always indicative that the
if that's the biggest selling point, then
right.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard a rumor. I would take this with a giant grain of salt, but apparently the rumor goes that Bob Iger was not happy with the blowback that's coming off of this Empire interview, and has talked to the showrunner and agreed that there won't be any more releases about other characters because in that article, notably, Cyclops and Jean Grey both don't have blurbs, and they were talking about potentially changing the backstory of Wolverine as well, according to the rumor. But they want to put those releases on hold until right before the show comes out.
Because that's Gambit over here.
To avoid any further backlash to the movie or to the show, because they think that the backlash might affect the movies going forward. So that's the rumor. Who knows if it's true?
I don't remember Storm having this haircut.
She did not. So in the comics, she did have a mohawk at one point in Days of Future Past, where they go into like an alternate future.
I didn't realize
maybe also,
Storm.
Yeah, maybe also in the mainline timeline, they might have also brought it back because it was.
That was I want to say Apocalypse, not Days of Future Past.
Possibly. Whatever it was.
Because Days of Future Past still had Halle Berry as Storm, and she didn't have.
No.
She had the short hair in that.
Yeah, she had short hair.
No, I'm talking about the comic book.
Shoot. Okay, sorry.
He's a
I
Marvel.
thought you were talking about the films. My bad.
No. Yeah. So I think in maybe Apocalypse, they might have done some weird hairdo for her in the Apocalypse movie.
Yeah, in the film they did when they recasted.
Yeah,
Storm,
but I think in the
Storm.
comics, Days of Future Past storyline had her with a mohawk. But regardless, at one point she had a mohawk. So this is kind of like a mix between the mohawk and the longer hair in the back still. I don't know.
We need to have that side shave haircut somewhere.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yes.
It won't be modern without it.
I mean, this was as big of a red flag as the Morph non-binary thing.
Yeah.
Now, let's remember why Charlie
we
Feldman
lost.
used to wake up on Saturdays to see. And here it is. Rogue's ass. And what have
Now
they
she's
done?
Wolverine in the bed. Oh, look
no.
at the ass. It's gone.
what they took from us.
So I just want to remind you, she was so excited to work on it because, you know, she had a history with it. And yet, apparently she didn't get to say what was necessary for the adaptation to be good.
Do you see David's tweet there?
Yes, that's my
Wolverine?
next thing right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my girl. Now, I just
Sad
happened to
Wolverine.
find something right before we finished.
Before you go forward, well, I don't know what you got forward here, but her front area is also nerfed. If you go back to that multi-shot.
Oh yeah. Look at the tragedy here. Oh, the multi-shot. That's from the article.
Yeah. Same with Storm, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But
all of them are flat-chested.
Yeah. Can't have nice things anymore.
Is there like a database like of studies or whatever that would show us the average breast size in the United States over time? Because I don't
goes to like 2015 because it's sexist after 2016.
I don't feel like
it's probably gotten bigger over the years just because
I was gonna say
people.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't feel like there's been a marked reduction in the average size of breasts in the United States, and if anything, they're getting bigger due to obesity, right? What? And
Danger zone.
My wife apparently thinks I like them big for some reason. She's feeling all self-conscious now.
Did she always have that tank top torn
No.
thing?
No. Not in the old
flag.
show. She was wearing a all of them are in a weird 80s inspired outfit here.
Yeah.
Which hopefully they're not in for very long.
Yeah.
In that shot you can see she's wearing the jacket like normal.
Okay.
Which is what
but
she
you
would
can
normally
see
wear,
that in that picture where Wolverine was jacketing, she wasn't wearing anything.
Yeah, in that scene she might have lost her jacket at some point.
Anyway, so now I bring to you in response to X-Men 97 ruining all the greatness from this particular single shot, I give it back to you in high fidelity.
RTX on.
Shading.
Right.
Yeah, RTX on. They changed her leg position though.
Slightly.
Yeah, in the show's defense, I mean,
and she's got the jacket on now.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, it's a different shot, but it's indicative of what we're expecting most of the time.
Yeah, we are expecting it. I mean, we could hope, right? Because I mean, that was made by a guy who's probably like overworked. He's like, I'm just gonna draw the.
It's a different frame. Come on, get the same frame.
Yeah. Why does that rock look like a D20? Like right below her, is that her right ass cheek?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a D20 to me.
At first
we rolled a 20 on this one.
Yeah. So the real question is, are you going to see situations where female characters are on the ground in front of male character villains? Because I remember when Apocalypse came out and feminists were bent out of shape over Mystique being held by the throat in the like billboards or whatever, and it's like, man, how dare you show a villain harming a woman?
Yeah.
Don't you know women are to be protected with plot?